The regular meeting of the Board of Education of Prairie Local School District is called to order at 5:45 p.m. in the Target Center Conference Room. Roll call, please. Ms. Kiva?
Mrs. Foley?
Here.
Mr. Leidig?
Here.
Mr. Roberts?
Here.
Mrs. Krebsner? Here. Mr. Welch?
Here.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Thompson, Superintendent Spotlight.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Foley. Tonight, I'm pleased to announce we have a special visitor, Mr. Tom Anderson, from the American Legion is here to present us with something. So you want to come on up, say a word?
I'll talk a little bit and then we'll bring that monster up here.
Okay.
Yes, it is big. So my name is Tom Anderson and I'm the commander of the American Legion here in Perry. Back on Memorial Day, Elias presented us the American flag, which we're going to go ahead and present to the school because we're a small organization, the American Legion. We have a office space over in next door in the Manchester West. And, you know, we wanted to make sure that this flag is visible to the community at large because it's very impressive. And Elias will talk a little bit about that after I get done in the story behind it. But our hope is that when folks see this, you know, others see this flag, that it'll help them remember the sacrifice of the veterans here locally and any relatives that they had that may have been veterans also. And additionally, that in particular, that they think about the over 1 million young men and women who died for this country protecting our freedoms. You know, every state in this United States of America, these people, you know, gave their lives to defend our freedom. So we really hope that, I mean, this thing is really eye-catching. It's something that won't be missed. So Elias, if you'd like to get up, give us a little bit of background on it.
So I wanted to, for Memorial Day, we're in the parade, procedures in the parade every single year. And I wanted to do something to honor the men and women who have served our country. I'm able to do what I'm able to do every single day because of the freedom and the sacrifices that they have provided. As is the case with my kids, they're able to go and live the life that they live and go to the school that they go to and enjoy the freedom because of the sacrifices. And not just the sacrifices that the men and women have done, have made in serving in a war or in the military, but the husbands, the wives, kids, parents, and grandparents who are making sacrifices every single day when their loved ones are over there serving our country. So I came across a friend of mine on Facebook who had shared something of a friend of theirs whose daughter who were making these pieces to provide funding for an outreach program. And this young lady's only like 16 or 17 years old. And I apologize, but I can't recall her name. And when I saw it, I was just in awe of it. So I wanted to help her with her fundraising. And then at the same time, take that piece and share it with someone. And I thought of them before the Memorial Day parade. So at the end of when we went around, I walked up to them and all I really wanted to do was hand it to them and thank them for the time and kind of just walk away. But Tom pulled me aside and asked me to stick around and present in front of everybody. So he, about a month or so ago, maybe a few weeks ago, came up to me or reached out to me and said he wanted to really showcase it. And he asked me if I was okay with if he shared it with you guys. And I told him if that's what they wanted to do at the VFW, that I was all for it. So, long story short, we're here today, and he must present you with the flag. Thanks, so.
We'll certainly display this
It is heavy.
proudly, but then I don't want to lift it. Wow, this is awesome. It's amazing.
It's okay.
Is it actually waving?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fine.
Let's say, it's really good paint job. It's really pretty.
It's awesome.
Is it wood?
Yeah.
It's heavy.
So it's heavy.
It's a bunch of-
Nice.
2x3s.
Yeah.
Tell Jim
I don't know
what size nails we need.
Looks like on the back.
Ooh.
And initially, like I wrote to them, thank you for your service, and we signed up to speak, but,
Yes.
yeah, she made it out of wood. I didn't ask her exactly how, but she's only 16 or 17 years old, and she literally does it piece by piece. Carved it all out, paints it. So.
So Scott Nitzwiggy is the one who volunteered to find a place.
Nice.
Where you want.
Yeah, I don't know, why you guys,
Back in the.
Leave it
table
again.
back
you can
there.
just lift it back behind there, I mean, we can put on that register, it's quite safe back there. You think that's okay?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah. Way people can see it for now.
It's a great backdrop.
I like it right there.
Apologies, but I have to excuse myself. I have a meeting I have to get to. So.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That
Thank you
concludes
both.
My spotlight on it.
Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22G1, I hereby move the board action for the purpose of considering the employment of a public employee or official.
Probably easier.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Leidig,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mrs. Preston. Yes. Mr. Welch.
Yes.
Mrs. Foley.
Yes. To adjourn from executive session
Second.
at 6:40, Jen. The board adjourned from executive session at 6:40. Roll call, please.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mrs. Preston.
Yes.
Mr. Welch.
Yes.
Mrs. Foley.
Yes.
Mr. Leidig.
Yes.
Thompson committee reports. Oh, sorry. Anybody have any committee reports?
No.
I don't have. Thompson administrative updates.
Thank you, Mr. Foley.
Right again.
Just take a moment to again thank Tom Anderson, Elias Cox for the wonderful flag. We'll certainly display that piece of art proudly and in honor of our nation. At this time, it's been, a few years, believe it or not. We had Mr. Isaac come in and provide us with this initiative and vision for the middle school for continued for connected authentic learning. And so we would appreciate if Mr. Knight is here tonight, would give us a quick update on the progress that's been made in that area.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. I'm gonna pretend I'm Ariana.
Thank you, Mr. Nisley.
No book.
You get a book?
No, no books.
Thank you.
This recording again, or you paused it before you?
I paused and I'm recording again.
Perfect. So it's been like 2 years and 1 month. So I had the opportunity to kind of share with you kind of where we were at as a school and this work that we're doing. And we've seen a tremendous amount of change and transformation occur both within our teachers and kind of what we're doing with kids and where we thought we were heading at one point and kind of where we are today to kind of very different places. And so it's been a very interesting journey to say the least. Got a wonderful group of very energetic teachers who are very passionately committed to this work and to learning alongside their students and learning alongside, myself as the principal. It's been a wonderful opportunity. So this is our update on connected and authentic learning. I'm not sure if you've seen this swirl before, but this is kind of what the state of Ohio has determined to be kind of the components and elements of personalized learning. I've given you the definition there and the key principles. I'm going to move on to the next one because we're going to talk about those in a moment. And so you can kind of see in the winter of 2021, and we shared some timeline with you at that point and where we were and where we thought we were heading. And you can kind of see based on the kind of the sequence of events, the steps that we have taken as a school and also as a school district in kind of really making this work happen. And so, as you guys know, that we formed a research team, and I don't even know that I want to call it something as formal as a research team. It really started out with individual conversations with teachers about teaching and learning and what kids are doing, and the general sense of frustration of student disengagement in middle school. And so, one of the slides, if you remember 2 years ago, showed the student engagement cliff. That's very traditional, and it happens across the country where students leave elementary school, super high levels of engagement. And as they get into 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, it's like it continues to plummet till they get to 11th grade. And then by their senior year, it dips up just a little bit, probably because at that point they're figuring, hey, I've got to figure out what I'm doing. Am I going to go to college? Am I going to get a job? What am I going to do? So we find that seniors tend to be a little more engaged than their counterparts, juniors through 6th grade. So kind of looking at that as what our problem was, started having discussions with teachers, and didn't know that we were conducting empathy studies at the time, but that's kind of exactly what they were. Looking and talking with teachers about like, what could we do? What could I do as the principal? What could we do as a school district elected to create an environment for you where you could create that perfect learning environment for kids. And so that's kind of what kickstarted all of this. Had a team of about 7 or 8 folks that were interested in this work. We started to do some research. We started to look at best practices. We looked at project-based learning. We looked at problem-based learning. We looked at connected learning. We looked at authentic learning. A whole host of different kind of instructional approaches, and then kind of decided that not any one of those particular pieces kind of fit what it was we were trying to do. And so we kind of came up with our own concept, which was a fusion of the district's work, the culture work that we were doing, with a heavy focus on building those connections, that teachers need to be connected to students. Students need to be connected to their peers, and they also need to be connected to the content that they are learning. And so that's how we came up with the Connected and Authentic Learning project. It was right around the spring, summer of 2021 that we connected with the I4PL, which is kind of an offshoot of one of their ESCs in Wisconsin. It's the Institute for Personalized Learning. We were able to take some teachers up there. We did some site visits, and some of our teachers got some professional development. As a result, came back with some ideas that we kind of then started to kind of percolate around the room, so to speak. Fall of 2022, we kind of launched, and Dr. Thompson fringes when I say kind of as a pilot. Our idea was to kind of form the team and kind of learn as we go with some kind of clinical practice to occur in the spring. But the teachers kind of jumped kind of head first into the pool and really started to kind of try to do this work and learn and kind of teach at the same time as we were happening. In the fall of 2022, the state of Ohio came up with something for the rest of us, and that's when we connected with the Ohio Personalized Learning Network. Our school became a launch school within the Ohio Personalized Learning Network. We completed year one of launch last year. We have our entire team is involved in the second year of launch this year with the Ohio Personalized Learning Network, and as a district, we have committed to as a transform district. I think we're one of 18 school districts in Ohio. Dr. Mulchesky, there's a 12.
One of 8. I tell
I
people.
couldn't remember if it was
We'll
like
get that answer.
something
I
like
think
that,
it's
but
8
it's
though.
not a lot of districts that are, that have been selected for this. So we're very honored, and there's a lot of learning that's happening. Our teachers are involved in, and we are, as administrators, we're kind of learning alongside them as well. And so that's kind of where our journey has been. And so I said I was going to come back to the swirl. And so because this is really what the state of Ohio believes personalized learning is, one of the things that we have, really tried to commit ourselves to is kind of self-assessing. Where are we within this swirl? Most districts in Ohio that are doing this work are maybe in one of these little slivers. And so based on some self-reflection that we've done, some of the instructional audit that we did with our staff, and reflection with our team, kind of will go around the swirl. I don't think it's actually called swirl. I might be the only one that calls it that, but we're going to go with that. And so evidence of learning and feedback, which is the blue component within the framework. Because I think of our work as a district with formative instructional practices, because of our work with standards-based and competency-based learning that we've done over the past, we kind of entered into this extremely strong. There's some districts that are even spotlight districts that when we talk to them, they're like, yeah, we don't do that. Like, yeah, we can come up and learn from you guys as a district in terms of the work that we are doing with kids centered around that evidence of learning and feedback. Learner driven, this is an emerging component for us. I'll show you kind of a slide that has a graph on it that'll kind of highlight that a little bit more. It's an area that we're just really kind of slowly starting to see unfold. If you look at the upper levels of formative instructional practices where that feedback loops happen, in which not only is the teacher providing feedback to kids, but the kids are providing feedback to the teacher. That kind of is where you start to see that move forward, where kids are also involved in kind of creating their own learning goals, knowing where they are exactly in their learning and where they have to go. What is the next step in order for me to be successful? And so that's kind of an emerging thing that we'll be working on this school year. Flexible learning environments is a current strength. Some of the focus groups that we did with students in the past few weeks kind of highlight that as well. Our students have responded that there's a lot of flexibility, a lot of movement that occurs. Learning is not just happening at their desk in a classroom. They're being able to move around. They're being able to go outside for experiences, whether they're going in the woods and they're doing geocaching. They're off-site for field trips. They're going to manufacturing facilities, so on and so forth. So that is definitely a current strength that we've had. We're also trying as a school to create spaces for our teachers and our students to use. And so downstairs, we have a full classroom that is devoted to connected and authentic learning, and it's an open space. The custodian brought in some of those mobile sink hand washing stations that you guys purchased during COVID. And so we're kind of able to use that almost as a lab space for students. And so furniture that's in there is movable. The teachers can use the floor, they can use tables, they can make a mess and it can be, they can clean it up and so on and so forth. So those are some positive things. We're also looking to do something similar upstairs as well. The authentic learning is also a current strength. Our teachers obviously gravitated towards this, hence the name Connected and Authentic Learning Project. And have committed to kind of taking what the state content standards have and trying to find a way to make them relatable to kids and to do it in a way that's not simply rote learning, but it's more experiential. So actually getting the kids to do things, whether it's it's a simple building project that is teaching them the kind of the basics of physics, marshmallows and spaghetti, dry spaghetti sticks, or to, VR goggles where they're going through an entire virtual world, solving algebraic equations, while also, connecting in this virtual environment. Optimal path and pace, I would say, is our current need. I think our team would agree. We do have one member of our team who is really starting to rock this. But if you think about what PII is doing in terms of the ability to take kids at different grade levels and at different learning needs, it's very different. It's a very different approach for a secondary school. It's very different for a secondary teacher. And so this is something that we're really going to start to work on, as well as that learner-driven piece, so that we can kind of really continue to move forward in this work with our kids and with our team. Questions about the squirrel? So our impact on students. Student success can be measured in a number of ways. For our purposes, we want to focus on student engagement. And I can tell you, we've had many conversations and arguments as an administrative. What is student engagement look like? How do you measure it? And probably the two best ways to do that are to either observe it directly within the classroom or to talk to the kids directly, either through a focus group or through surveys. And so I'm going to share some information with you on where we're at, but I'm going to give you a disclaimer because it's going to look different. So the 22-23 school year is a composite. So about 40 informal observations were done looking at student engagement, and they were all compiled into the same kind of Google form. And then for 23-24, I thought, you know what, maybe we should start to look at it a little bit differently. So looking at traditional classes, and those would include, your Algebra 1s, would also include your co-taught special ed classes, your traditional unit class, your exploratory art, and then also looking at what our teachers are doing in connected and authentic learning. The other part of the disclaimer is we're about 11 total informals for this school year, so this data will look probably very different by the end of the school year. We did some focus groups with students in grades 5 through 8 as part of our work for Transform. I just gave you some quotes. These are direct statements from students. Some of them are super positive. Some of them are super real. One kid wants to go to Oklahoma. So why do you come to school? I want to go to a good school like Oklahoma. I want to be smart, and it's an opportunity to see people I know or want to get to know better. Obviously, that social, emotional piece is pretty important to middle school age kids. One of the driving forces for their coming to school is to be able to see other people and to interact with other people. So that's kind of a common thread that developed as a result of these focus groups. But you also see, I find school enjoyable. When I'm not in school, I'm bored. I like to do activities in class with my friends. The hands-on stuff is the best. And so again, statements from 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Student agency, do you have choices in your learning? This is kind of that learner-driven piece that we're looking at as being emerging. Yes and no. We do a lot of group work, some by teacher placement, some by choice. We have some choice boards. Another student said it's special at the middle school because we get more responsibility. We're not treated like little kids anymore. This is also a student agency. This is feedback. This little girl down at the right, summed it up. And this was her, and she said it, and this is, I know it's supposed to be confidential, but I found this picture, like I'm putting this here. Teachers really seemed to listen to my opinions. And she talked a lot in the focus groups. It was wonderful. This is path and pace, so that optimal path and pace piece. We're starting to see this kind of unfold. We're still not there yet. So this mirrors what you'll see in our instructional audit as well as in our self-reflection piece. Flexible learning environments. Here the kids are talking about getting up, moving around, going different places. You guys all have this, is all in that paper as well. Impact on teachers. So you can see here our Cal team has been able to receive a lot of professional development as a result of this work. And we are looking at now taking what we've learned as a team, using our instructional audit that we did with the entire staff, and starting to tailor professional development for everybody else. One of the probably the coolest things that happened last year was the organic growth that we started to see. So we looked at grade 5, and I've got 2 really solid teachers in grade 5 that are doing this work, and they started doing these activities with kids, and then all of a sudden the other 5th grade teachers wanted to be involved and they wanted to plan with them. And so we saw a lot of what happened with connected and authentic learning also happening with what we would call the traditional classrooms. The same thing started to happen in 6th grade as well. So that was really cool to see, because we really weren't looking until this year and moving forward to really start to kind of pull this into the entire school at large. Kelly Morgan kind of hit the nail on the head. She's like, this is just good teaching, what we're trying to do. And so, you know, that's kind of the approach that we're trying to take. And our goal is 100% of our students to get these experiences. May not be appropriate 100% of the time in 100% of the classes, but the more of these opportunities that we can provide for our students, the better off they're going to be. This one of the groups we did was a parent group. Feel safe, confident. My teachers are trust, you know, I trust that they're going to listen to my kid. Love seeing my kid come to school because they enjoy it. And then this is the instructional audit, and unfortunately, the explosion there behind is covered by the camera view. But this was definitely a strength, and this is a result of the culture work that our district has done with Focus 3. Very high on connections, learner-driven goals. Again, that's the learner-driven piece. This mirrors kind of what we looked at in terms of our self-reflection. We're strong on flexible learning environments. Our teachers are acting in that statement as well. We're strong on authentic learning experiences. And then here we come back to learner-driven. This is choice and autonomy, looking at providing students different ways in which they learn and different ways in which they can be assessed. And so that's something, an emerging need that we have. Evidence of feedback and learning, we're strong on that one. The item on the left, I'd like to point out real quick. So another thing that we've done in working with the high school is looking to align what we're offering in terms of exploratory courses with the pathways, the personalized pathways that are at the high school. And so if you look at the key, you can see that there's a technology strand, there's a performing arts strand, there's more language, there's engineering, there's business, and I cannot see community service is the other one. You can see exactly where those fall into place in terms of the different offerings that we have and we're providing students. And the bottom part are 9-12, and all those are all the classes that are offered at the high school. On the right-hand side, this is an example of the activities, authentic activities that were provided. By one of the grade levels, and this is how they document their work. And our journey continues. So we're committed to this work. We're committed to working with the Ohio Personalized Learning Network, and we're committed to the sustainability of this work. This is the last slide. So this, we've hosted site visits here in the district. I believe we're going to be hosting another site visit in February. Is that correct? We have 6 of our teachers and myself are sitting, going through launch year 2. I've got 2 teachers that are sitting on the field committee for the Ohio Personalized Learning Network. I sit on the sustainability committee for Ohio. We're involved in Transform. And then recently I was named to the National Sustainability Lead and Change Network committee, kind of looking at connecting with other states and the work that they're doing here. So it's good stuff. We were able to go down and present instructional leadership. We took teachers down there for that. I got to share the awesome stuff that we're doing at our fall conference, and then I also got to talk about what we're doing with some folks at the Department of Education when I was in DC this October. So I'm super excited to see this work continuing, and our teachers are very passionate about it. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
We're good. Thanks for that work, Mr. Madison, and your staff. We commend it because it's not easy. Okay, at this time, I'd just like to take a moment to thank the board members that were able to go down to the Ohio School Boards Association conference last week. Special thanks to Captain Stioli, who will be coming on to service here in January. I enjoyed our time down there. I think again, it gives you an opportunity to learn what's going on with other districts, see some new and innovative things, and also network with a lot of folks. Obviously, unfortunately, it was with deep regret and sadness that it was cut short due to the tragic bus accident involving students in Tusky Valley, and also chaperones, and 3 who lost their life, students and 3 chaperones. And so our thoughts and prayers continue to go out to that small community as they mourn the loss of those folks. But appreciate the time and commitment to our board members who went down there. And also congratulations to our PHS football team making it to the championship Final Four. On Friday, we'll take on Harvest Prep in the state semi-final game. We'll be at Shelby High School. And as we go along on this journey with our band, our cheerleaders, our football players, and our fans and community, it's just been so much fun, and we couldn't do it without the support of our booster programs, both our athletic and our band boosters, as they continue to provide stipend for food, for tickets, and now for travel, as we have a bit of a trek to go down to Shelby High School this Friday. So we wish everyone a safe trip and come back with that victory. Been here once before, folks, and it was exciting then, but we go into this game with optimism. And so thanks to everyone for all their work, and we look forward to that. What a great opportunity. And then I would just like to wish everyone a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving holiday. Get some well-deserved rest, and maybe the holiday season we go. That concludes my administrative update.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Gina, is there any public participation? We already have them. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda letter A through E? Discussion or question? Letters A through E and consent. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Pettigrew?
Yes.
Mr. Welch?
Yeah.
Mrs. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Lighting?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Dr. Thompson. Superintendent report.
Yes, thank you. As always, under A personnel, we have an acceptance of resignations. The board is asked to accept the resignations of the employees listed from the positions indicated as recommended by the local superintendent and director of student services. Under B, personnel approval of appointments, the board is asked to approve the employment of the individuals listed for the position indicated pending successful completion of required appointment paperwork, certification training, and background check as recommended by the local superintendent. Under C, personnel change of hours, the board is asked to approve the change of hours for the individual noted as recommended by the local superintendent and assistant superintendent. This increase in hours is a result of increased enrollment and instructional needs for students new to the country. D, personnel change of rate of pay. The board is asked to approve the change of rate of pay for the individual noted as recommended by the local superintendent and director of food service. Under E, personnel approval appointment athletic supplementals. The board is asked to approve the employment of the individual listed for the summer and 2023-24 athletic supplemental positions and rate of pay indicated pending successful completion of required appointment paperwork, certification training, and background check as recommended by the local superintendent and athletic director. F, personnel approval of appointment athletic volunteer. The board is asked to approve the individuals listed as volunteers for the 23-24 sport noted pending successful completion of background check and certification as recommended by the local superintendent and athletic director. Chief personnel approval of change in position. The board is asked to approve the change in position noted due to low student participation as recommended by the local superintendent and athletic director. H, personnel approval appointment substitutes. The board is asked to approve the individuals noted for the 2023-24 daily substitute positions listed as recommended by the local superintendent and assistant superintendent. I, approval of board policy for the readings. The board is asked to consider following revised board policies as a first reading for future action as recommended by the local superintendent. Draft policies are available for review below, and we will obviously give you time for discussion before we have the second reading at our next board meeting. So if you have any changes, feel free to, you don't have to wait till that board meeting. If you come up with something, feel free to give us a call. And we'll make note of those things and then talk about them at the next board meeting before final approval. J, we have an out-of-state trip to Chicago, Illinois. The board has approved an out-of-state field trip for PSL students to Chicago, December 7th through 10th, 2023, as recommended by the local superintendent and principal. This trip will be supervised by PSL teachers Allison Schittnelli and Mark Soder. There is no cost to the board for this trip other than the use of a school van for transportation. And this is something that we've supported on an annual basis for our PSL program. K, approval of settlement agreement and mutual release. The board is asked to approve the settlement agreement and mutual release below as recommended by the local superintendent. L, approval of intra-district shared equipment agreement. The board is asked to approve an intra-district shared equipment agreement with Madison Local Schools for the Real Care Baby Infant Simulators as recommended by the local superintendent or the principal. M, approval of Calamity Day at your request, April 8th, 2024. The board is asked to authorize the superintendent to schedule a Calamity Day for April 8th, 2024 due to the solar eclipse occurring that afternoon as recommended by the local superintendent. And then 2023-24 substitute rate of pay updated. The board is asked to adopt the updated substitute rate effective November 1st, 2023 as delineated unless otherwise dictated per current negotiated agreements and authorize the chief financial officer to pay the higher daily substitute rate for continuation of service for those substitute employees who continue to work in 12-month classifications as recommended by the local superintendent and chief financial officer. This concludes my superintendent report.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Is there a motion? Discussion, any questions?
The substitute rates, so that is a new substitute rate for teacher classified, certified substitute at 125 an hour?
Yes, as a result of our emergency.
Okay, I was on a field trip today, I'm not prepared for this.
And again, I so appreciate the support and the work that the board does day in and day out. And we had those emergency meetings and through those discussions, that was the recommendation that came forward and it's well deserved. So thank you for that work. And so we just want to make it official.
So, quick question on that, because it says it's, obviously it's effective November 1st. So if there was anyone that subbed between now and November 1st, would we owe them a different rate?
Yeah, but subs are paid 2 weeks behind, so
Okay,
they'll be paid.
so we're okay. Do we advertise that anywhere, that our rate has changed?
In our job posting today, we changed it online.
The big one, big explosion. Okay.
And that puts us well in line with the other districts, competitive.
Except one.
No.
You know,
So
yeah,
we're
we're
above average.
and again, what's our concern? You know, when we were down at OSBA, I heard talk from other Lake County superintendents to respond and react, and you don't want to get into the price war thing, but we'll see what happens. But right now, that puts us above average.
Any other discussions or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Welch?
Yes.
Mrs. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Leidig?
Yes.
Mr. Robert?
Yes.
Mrs. Cook?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Capo. The financial officer report.
A, approval of financial reports. The board is asked to approve the financial report from October 2023 as recommended by the chief financial officer. B, 5-year forecast. The board is asked to approve the 5-year forecast as presented by the chief financial officer. This is the final version. It'll be submitted to the state after approval. It's basically the same as what we looked at last month. The only change is that the salaries and benefit line has been updated to include the OCMLA that we just approved earlier this month.
Okay, so where will that, what tab will that show on? Is as far as it's easiest way for us to find it.
I'm sorry, what are you looking?
So I'm looking at the link that's in our agenda,
Oh,
on the
this-
5-year forecast, because the tabs on the bottom say forecast, general fund.
Forecast.
Okay,
So you can see the change is on line 3.010 and 3.020. That's salary and benefits respectively. That's the only change. We still are showing a surplus for this year and next year. The approval of expenditure Valley Truck Centers. The board is asked to approve the expenditure in the amount of $69,897 to Valley Truck Centers, State of Ohio contract number RS 1010203 for the 2024 Chevrolet 2500 HD with 8.5 boss plow and equipment delineated as recommended by the chief financial officer and director of maintenance and operations. And the approval of new account, the board is asked to approve the establishment of a new account, Fund 0189606 for a placement of $2,000 of grant funds as recommended by the chief financial officer and building principal. Tammy Roberts received a grant that will be used to support students in need in the middle school hygiene closet. And this concludes my CFO report.
there a motion?
Second.
Congrats to Tammy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very good. That's
So
awesome.
what, especially on that truck.
Yeah, that's a nice truck, Jim.
Got some speakers in that truck.
Jim Gunner.
What's an awesome class?
So,
What's each?
so not to go back and beat a dead horse with this, 5-year forecast, but just to be clear, we talked about this previously at a meeting in October, I believe, and then again in November.
In October.
Yeah, and so the only final change, the only change in this one that, the difference in salaries and.
Yeah.
Okay,
Everything else is the same. Nothing, we don't have any answers on any of the tax legislation or the valuation with the power plant, so I didn't change any of those assumptions. When all that's settled, when we look at this again in May, it'll probably be different, but until we know something, I can't really think.
and again, we can't include any projected changes in the staffing, anything like that. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Leidig?
Yes.
Mr. Robert?
Yes.
Mrs. Preston?
Yes.
Mr. Buck?
Huge, I forgot. We should have done your addendum, Dr. Thompson.
So I'm fine.
Yes, we do. You want to do it now?
Sure.
Let's go to the addendum.
Thank you. Under superintendent's general report, we have a personnel approval appointments. The board is asked to approve the employment of the individuals listed for the position indicated pending successful completion of required employment paperwork, certification training, and background check is recommended by the local superintendent. This concludes my superintendent's general report.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Second.
Discussion or question?
This is 3 replacements of the missing,
Yes, there's 3 new transportation bus drivers, correct.
and then where does that put us in staffing now?
Puts us a lot better than we were, and you know, we're gonna continue to I think we want to get at least 1, maybe 2 more. And then obviously our sub list, we want to expand that.
Okay.
Any other questions, discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Foley,
Yes.
Mr. Leidig.
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mrs. Preston.
Yes.
Mr. Welch.
Ms. Scabo, your addendum.
A, contracts and agreement, Footprint Center for Autism. The board is asked to authorize the chief financial officer to renew the facility use agreement for Footprint Center for Autism from September 1st, 2023 through July 31st, 2026, as recommended by the chief financial officer. B, contracts and agreement with the fiscal services. The board is asked to approve an agreement with Wishlet City School District for shared fiscal services, August 1st, 2023 through July 31, 2026, as recommended by the chief financial officer. This concludes my CFO's addendum report.
Thank you. Motion to approve Ms. Scabo's report.
So moved. Second.
Questions or discussion? I do. Is there any significant changes in either of those in the lease for footprints or with the shared services agreement?
Now the footprints, we just increased the rate to match rating. And with the basically stayed the same. There was already a clause to increase it 2% a year, so we just kept that and moved it up.
Any other? Roll call, please.
Mr. Leidig,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mrs. Preston. Yes. Mr. Welch,
Yes.
Mrs. Foley.
Yes. Sorry. All right, discussion item. Trustee Thompson? Discussion items?
You want to go from the bottom to the top?
Sure. Sure. So you're starting with me, what you're saying.
Well, the January organization meeting, that's a quick one, right?
Yeah, we gotta pick that.
Let's pick that one.
Let's pick that.
Yeah.
Everybody have a calendar up? Yeah. Okay, the 9th? Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Board meeting the 9th?
When we, thank you. We do the org meeting, I think it would be a good time to review our committees.
We have to.
I mean, to make sure, like, I don't know if we need to discuss ahead of time or discuss it at that meeting, like. Whether we're keeping the same committee, not who's taking the committees, but which committees we have and their effectiveness and if we need to add or subtract anything.
I think we should.
Yep.
For sure.
Definitely.
We'll leave some spot for additions. So you can just fill in on the agenda, no doubt.
Yeah, and differentiate if it's a board committee
Right.
versus
A
a
superintendent.
superintendent one. Yeah. We need to. Yes, good.
Throw that out.
Yes,
What time?
good question, Gina.
With 5.
5:45. I'm looking at, I looked at Bob. Works for me. That was good for you guys.
I'm good with it.
Good for you.
I think it's a great idea.
We're all in. And it's actually gonna be an right, as of now, just the organizational meeting, not a. Because typically we had special meetings on the same day.
Might as well, right? When is our,
Yes.
if we have something we have to approve, we might want to go ahead and address it. So we,
I've got to look at
Like a calendar. or something.
we did it within, we had a regular meeting and,
it. The only thing you can do at the organization meeting is that
setting up the board business.
first.
Yes, and then you got the meeting
After.
immediately after, so you don't put a time on it, immediately after.
Right,
To do anything you want to approve.
but we don't need to decide right now if we're having that meeting right after, do we?
You
No.
can decide 2 days before that.
48 hours in advance.
We'll know more by December.
So right now, just the organization.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of critical things probably happening between December 19th and January 9th that would cause us to have. Right?
No,
No,
I'm out of town.
the ninth
Until
bad,
January.
when,
I'm out of town, but.
for the ninth?
Not tonight, I'm good.
Okay, so the ninth is our meeting. Okay.
Yep.
We're good. Moving backwards, up the bullet points.
Yeah, it's time to dig deep in your wallets. These,
If you are so inclined, last few years, we've been doing just the donation, let the care center decide what they want it to go towards. So if you are interested, I can tomorrow email you my Venmo if anybody is interested in doing that, or cash or check, whatever you like. If I can have it by December 11th, gives them time to do shopping and whatever they need to do with it, that would be great.
You please Venmo me email me your Venmo.
Venmo your Venmo.
Venmo your Venmo.
December 11th.
We do the rest of the agenda first and then come back to the bullet point?
However you want it to work, but
I don't, right. Okay, we're talking about calendars, 24-year
well.
24-year calendar.
And the next year's calendar, we've had a lot of discussion, obviously, about the school calendar and understanding some of the parameters that we're under, and stipulations, and I do appreciate the input from the board and the desires of wanting our kids August to last as long as possible. Knowing that there's a number of factors that continue to push us down into August and to get our kids back to school, sooner than maybe many of us would like in that summer. Based on the parameters we have, I went through a number of drafts. We've talked about these at length. Both draft A and F are the two that I most strongly support and willingness to make recommendations. Understanding that there's no perfect calendar, that it's a give and take kind of proposition. So what I would propose is that we go back and, by December, we have to get something on the books because we're already looking at trying to lock in dates for next year and people are calling and asking, and I can't give them definite. So out of courtesy to the folks that are trying to plan, we need to get something I hope in place by next regular board meeting. Having said that, I am willing and happy to very early in 2024 begin a process of study and research, looking at all levels of our school calendar, including instructional, including testing, including, daily requirements and hours and all those things, and do it in a level that gets all stakeholders involved. I'm happy to get started right away, so that we don't find ourselves again in the fall, going, nothing's changing. We continue to look for solutions. And I guess the more people we get at the table, maybe there'll be some things that will help us have some epiphanies and to help us maybe go into negotiations and with our bargaining groups and so forth and so on. So that's what I had. You've looked at these models before. Kinds of things out there. And I will entertain questions as tonight if you want to bring those about, or I'm happy to talk to you individually anytime between now and December, the next meeting, and continue the discussion. But that's kind of where we are. And so That's all I have to say at this point.
Approval to, A through G. Approval for A through.
There's nothing on
So
the
what do you-
agenda. I'm not
what's the
asking for any
recommendation?
recommendation at this
So
point.
there's no recommendation, we're
Um,
just reviewing these.
I've said that, again, obviously A is one that I've already brought to you. And F is one that I've made some adjustments after speaking at length with folks to try to give our kids a little more time in August. It still meets some of the issues of, and of course, exams and the things that we try to accommodate. And knowing that what happens to our kids in spring and the level of engagement in middle school, it becomes tougher and tougher. So, we know, that we really try to get, finished, at the end of May if possible, and all those things in between. That's again, the F calendar puts out a balance between semesters by 10 days. We can still function. We're well within our limits in the minimum hours. We know that. But we like to have our kids in school, and right now it's 180 days, and until we change that, I'll continue to recommend 180. Minus one calamity in April so far. But,
So are you going to, or we're just gonna review these? If we have questions, like you said, we can ask you individually.
for now,
And then in December, the plan is to, one of these will be on the agenda for recommendation.
or I could put both of them on and you guys can, whatever is your pleasure, Mrs. President.
That's,
Um,
we're a team here.
maybe
Feedback from everyone.
it's up to you. I can discuss them individually and come to you guys with a recommendation between A and F. Or if there's some specific changes in there, we can talk them through and I can. I like the administration to be part of it because it impacts their world much more than it impacts mine. And our teachers as well. And, so I appreciate the discussion we've had with PCTA about those needs and, and the community as well. However, I have not gotten feedback from the community. And it's time to go back and talk about that. And is it time to talk about, doing a schedule that might be different for the high school kids than for the elementary? Are we willing to go there? Back when we went through the community and got input and feedback, that was not something that was well received. Having our elementary kids start later than our high school kids in August. Because then they would be going in June when our high school kids were out. But that's something, maybe that's time to, get a community consensus and then put it out there well in advance so people know it's coming and it's not a surprise, right? And there's additional costs there that I'm sure Mrs. Cape would want to chime in on if their 5-year forecast on when we extend bus transportation, when we extend food service, when we extend those services by those things, and then that also requires some bargaining that we need to talk with our folks. I'm getting weird looks from, oh, you're pointing at Armando. Okay,
Yeah.
right. But those are all things that
Lonzo's mad.
I would need to go. But again, they do what's best for kids and we've always been able to get memorandums of agreement and understanding when we feel this is best for kids in our community. So I feel confident we can always work those things out.
I would want to know, what's the feedback of front loading all of those staff development days? The impact and the usefulness of front loading versus spreading them out, and whether the teachers and the kids are benefit from having those kind of spread out through the year. As well as the impact of having them spread out through the year in childcare for parents. I think those are the variables, like if we heard an overwhelming, yeah, let's front load them all because it makes sense to the teachers, makes sense to the parents, they don't have to find childcare through the year, and we get to push back school starting for the kids, maybe it would make more sense, but I think that's a question for teachers, parents on what, you're gonna hear everything, but I don't know.
I'm happy to, we'd like us to solicit those that input. I'm happy to put it out there if you want, get some feedback.
I remember years ago, we voted on the calendar.
We've done PD days front loaded at the beginning of the school year. Back then, I think we had 8,
8.
and we would start with 5, Mr. Miller, I believe, and then have a couple sporadically throughout. This recommends 4 up front with 1 when we come back for the new semester in January, giving us that 1 day to rev up before the kiddos come back in January. And it works out well because the Friday and then the kids come back January 6th. Which I think works out good.
break.
Well. It is. Did you want to go back Friday or Thursday? The 2nd?
That's calendar E.
Okay, well, they're going, they go, I mean, it's a push, it's Jello, right? You know, unless and then that's where Mr. Vladeck and I had some great conversation about, well, maybe we change some of the parameters, the number of days and those things. And that, again, you know, we can put those on as something we can consider, but, you know, probably take some discussion table to get those done, but it's certainly great conversation. About reducing instructional days, if that's something we would want to declare. All things, I mean, you know, those are discussed. So,
I know a lot of time went into these, so thank you, I appreciate that, that's a lot, well, I get it, that's there's never the perfect solution for any of this. I just want to make sure that we're making our decisions based on what's best for kids, and I've said that from the beginning. And I know we tend to keep referring to all the kids are back on campus for high school anyway in August because they're in sports or extracurriculars. And I feel like then we narrow it down to we're really focusing on what's best for 9 through 12. And I am really open to the idea of something flexible and creative. Not saying it has to be that way, because if it doesn't work for our families, then, and I'm not saying it has to be a week or 2 weeks, just what makes sense. So I'm flexible and open. I mean, I like that we're thinking through these and looking at all possibilities. I think that's needed.
and I think the hard thing, kids are individuals, and kids, just like adults, they benefit differently from different schedules. Some students, again, a snow day is not a celebration for everyone. And that's something to keep in mind.
Right. I appreciate this.
I thank you too.
Yeah.
I like, it's good work. So. It'll be something in December.
All right. Next is just the, sorry. Any unfinished business? New business? The only correspondence and announcements, that we have there's no school Wednesday, November 22nd. The district was closed for Thanksgiving break, the 23rd and 24th this week. The regular Board of Education is scheduled for Tuesday, December 19th, 2023 at 5:45 in the Tarbuck Center Conference Room.
We have an opportunity for public participation.
Sure.
I was just gonna suggest, I'm sorry, I didn't have any plan on doing this. But I was gonna say, when you are thinking about your schedule, one of the things I've noticed as a parent, especially with littles, is when we do our drop off for supplies, you do it within an hour for the entire school. It's kind of a lot. You have a lot of people jamming to get in there. Maybe do it like you do your drop-ins and do A through L and M through whatever. Give different times, different days even. Just saying it's kind of a sweaty madhouse that nobody really likes to be in, let alone have time to meet your teacher and say, I'm this person, my crazy child's running over there, I'm gonna go. It just a little squishy.
I appreciate that. We'll talk
Yeah.
phase into December, maybe the phase into the shift a little bit. What we've done.
Thank you.
Yes, great suggestion.
Gina, any other public participation? Okay.
Sorry.
You were just, no, you're fine. I was just getting there, Mr. Glenn.
You jumped the gun, I'm sorry about that.
I didn't want you to adjourn.
Oh, no, I wasn't doing that. Happy Thanksgiving and motion to adjourn.
Somebody, Sarah.
Roll call please.
Mr. Nyman,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yep.
Mrs. Metzger,
Yes.
Mr. Welch.
Yeah.
Mrs. Foley.